How's it going, guys, and welcome back. Now the first thing that we're going to be doing is obviously we're going to go through the last bit of categories that I have for it. After that I'm going to be doing some corrections, and somebody left a comment that actually really helps out with the channel, so I really appreciate that. I'll get into the comment after we get through the last topics. So obviously the first thing is weapons. We could be here all day talking about the guns, so I'll keep to the basics. Fallout 3 kept with the familiars when it came to weapons. The unique weapon builds in the game kind of made it seem as if Bethesda was testing the waters, with creating their own kind of weapons that weren't originally a part of the Fallout franchise, and I love that concept. One of my favorite weapons is the terrible shotgun, which you have to go to Evergreen Mills and get it off of a Smiling Jack by either stealing it or killing him for it, which there's no karma loss if you choose the latter. Don't worry about the raiders going in. They're not really people anyway. The sound of making Swiss cheese in a radioactive wasteland. Another favorite is Lincoln's Repeater, which you find in the Museum of History's lower halls. I love this thing. It's deadly with headshots and it looks so cool. Eugene is another favorite. I'm a sucker for miniguns. This thing will mow down anything that gets in your way. Vengeance is the equivalent when it comes to an energy-based minigun. Another unique weapon is the Alien Blaster. I remember the first playthrough I ever had, I ran into this and nearly freaked the f*** out. That was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen. And just so you guys know, aliens have always been a thing in the Fallout franchise, and I wasn't expecting Bethesda to actually do something like this. Finally, we'll finish the Fallout 3 weapons with the experimental MIRV. The first time I ever found this thing, I had no idea what made it different. I was used to keeping a decent distance when firing a fat man, but let me tell you something. When you fire the MIRV, you better be firing down from a cliff, or you'll be flying over a cliff. Now let's get something straight here. New Vegas weapons focused heavily on realistic Western and military style weaponry. Although I'm not big on energy weapons, they are difficult to find in New Vegas, which can be a bummer for you energy weapon based players. But here's something I thought that was pretty realistic that New Vegas did. The gun runners. They sold top of the line weapons for a stupid high price, but the vast majority of the weapons fit in the small guns category. Grenade rifles were a big thing in New Vegas. I'm not complaining though, grenade rifles are really good against most enemies, but if you really need something dead, you can get Mercy. With this bad boy, you can point it anywhere in the game and say f*** everything in this particular area. Then there's Esther, which looks like a hybrid of a lock-on heat seeker missile launcher and a fat man. The Legion.
I fart in your general direction.
An energy weapon of note is the YCS-186, which you wouldn't be able to obtain if you had the Wild Wasteland perk. This is a gauze rifle on steroids. With the Wild Wasteland perk, you'll instead run into aliens and get the Alien Blaster. Now for my top 3 favorites. The All-American. Sorry about that. That song keeps playing in my head every time I see the name. Even though it's a single shot, this thing is deadly as all get out. Getting it was a pain in the ass. I kept getting lost in Vault 34. The next gun is the Carbine. I know this one isn't unique, but man is it fun using for spray and pray. This thing doesn't yield a high damage rate, but it's very useful if you need to slow down enemies by crippling their legs really fast. The last one I'll mention is Lucky. It's not often I get attached to a pistol in a game, let alone a 6-shooter, but this thing is a beast for a hand cannon. It's easy to aim with and is stupid accurate. At the end of the day, I fell in love with the guns in New Vegas due to how realistic they really were. Not to mention they're lore friendly. Fallout 3 had some better weapons in some ways, but New Vegas did as well in others. I think all in all, New Vegas has the better guns, but it was still lacking in variety just as Fallout 3 was. If I didn't mention your favorite weapon, let me know in the comments what it is. So the next thing we're going to talk about is weapon mods and schematics. Fallout 3 has schematics. You can make unique weapons, bombs, and grenades. I love the Nuka-Cola Quantum Grenade. That thing is a beast. All you need is the schematics, materials, and a workbench. Simple and effective. The Rock It launcher is one of the funniest concepts that comes to mind. I mean, how often do you get to kill someone with a teddy bear? Fallout New Vegas, on the other hand, took that concept and complicated the ever-living piss out of it. Don't get me wrong, it's a great concept and a better one in my opinion. The idea of armor-piercing rounds, hollow point rounds, and FMJ, or standard round as it's referred to, is realistic and immersive. Standard rounds usually do 1 times damage, while hollow points usually do 1.75 times damage, and armor-piercing does 0.95 times damage. This is actually quite realistic since standard bullets, or FMJ, are used to penetrate your target, while hollow points are designed to under-penetrate, leaving shrapnel in the body, causing more damage. And armor-piercing is designed to obviously pierce armor to hit the target and not designed for damage. You know, just ignore armor in order to deal damage. Not to mention, these different ammo types were a thing in the original games. But keeping track of all of it is a pain in the ass. Making your own ammunition or even tearing down what you have is a great concept and resourceful. But all should have had their own categories to be separated into as to keep it simple. As we say in the military, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. New Vegas also had schematics for building unique weapons. You can find the schematics in the waste, or you can obtain a certain perk. It actually makes sense that you'd have to have a specific skill to be high in order to recycle certain things, due to how complex some of the items are. It's an amazing concept, but it could be done just a bit better. Not to mention you can only make one unique weapon. That's a bit of a downside in my opinion. Although it could still use improvement, I think New Vegas has a much better system going for it. Let's not forget you can add scopes and such to your weapons, which is also a great concept as well. So now we're going to move into shooting mechanic. Fallout 3's shooting mechanic was very American-like. It always seemed like you were shooting from the hip. When aiming, it feels like you're putting your gun in your armpit to shoot. That's not going to end well. You've got to give Bethesda props though, because they went from this to this. That's no easy feat for a developer who's inexperienced at the time with the first-person shooter. Fallout New Vegas' shooting mechanic took a new approach and gave it a more militarized feel. Aiming down your sights really adds to the immersion and gameplay. Now you can choose between spray and pray or accuracy, no matter if the weapon has a scope or iron sights. Now that's realism. Now let's talk about VATS. I swear to God, if I hear one more person bitch about the VATS mode, I'm going to lose my jet. Get it? Because jet is made from Brahmin shit fumes? I'll just I'll just sit in the corner. Well, anyway, you learned that stuff from Fallout 2, where a boy genius named Myron created jet for one of the families in New Reno.
You're talking to its maker, its creator, its God.
Another interesting fact is that the drug slow-mo in the Judge Dredd film remake that's based on the comics is believed to be inspired by Fallout's jet. It looks exactly the same, its effects are exactly the same, and it's taken in the exact same way. Anywho, the VATS mode has been in the Fallout series since the very beginning. It's a system that saved my ass on more than one occasion. For me, the VATS mode is like the oh shit handle in a car. Both games obviously have it, and both obviously are identical with no real differences from what I can tell. But you know how the old saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So now let me go ahead and actually do a correction. So Ytrium actually commented saying that I did forget about a collectible, the snow globes. So that was my fault. I do apologize about that. I have no idea how I missed that, but I sure as hell did. So when it comes to the snow globes, you can actually collect them from Mr. House for some money. I don't really see it actually having any kind of benefit to you other than just some more quick cash. Obviously they're spread all over the Mojave and you can find them and get money for it. I still think the bobbleheads are a better concept. The other part of that comment that Ytrium said was, sorry, but New Vegas has better companions compared to 3. I do have to apologize about this one because I just did not word things right. In the last video, I didn't really come to a full conclusion, and I made it sound like I was talking positively of Fallout 3 over New Vegas when it came to companions. So in the final conclusion, I'm going to talk first about the companions and make that correction real quick to clear things up. So I do apologize about that, but I really thank you, Widestream, for putting in that comment. It really does help everybody out on this channel, not just me. Finally, we are at the conclusion. When it came to the companions, New Vegas had more fleshed out characters. Each one had a backstory, and thanks to Fallout fans, numbers had been crunched together to find out which team of companions from each game would win in a straight out fight. The New Vegas companions barely snatched the win. The problem with the Fallout 3 characters is that they were not very well fleshed out, for the exception of Fox, which took away from the immersion. I may have found the New Vegas characters boring, but they had way more to offer to add to the immersion. So yes, New Vegas companions are better at the end of the day. Next time I'll be much more careful with my wording. Again, I apologize for that. You live and you learn. When it came to the story mechanics and storytelling, New Vegas also won in that category, with the end being entirely up to you. Although collectibles are just a small thing, I think Fallout 3 did that better. It's still just a minor category though, so it affects very little in the comparison. The weapons absolutely has to go to New Vegas. I had way more fun and fell in love with more weapons in New Vegas than I did in Fallout 3. The mechanics were better, the ammunition was better, it had attachments, it was just an all-around greater experience. Something I also noticed is that New Vegas takes the events of Fallout 1 and 2 into account as an actual part of history, where Fallout 3 struggles with doing that. With all things considered, Fallout 3 is a fantastic game, but New Vegas definitely defeats it in every category that matters the most. In my opinion, New Vegas is the champion at the end of the day. Let me take a moment to ask you guys a question. I've been contemplating my next video. Before I do the versus Fallout 4, I'm going to take a time out and do something else. Should I do a history video on the rise and fall of Midway Games? Or the history of Final Fantasy? Or maybe there's something else y'all would like to see me try to do with the same editing style I'm using? Please let me know in the comments. I really do appreciate you guys. This channel is nothing without you. So don't forget to hit that like button down below. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe. Remember 22. And as always, stay classy, bros.
Continue.